Hey guys, it's Justin. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. So today, as you saw by the title, I'm going to be reviewing the movie Soul, which was supposed to come out on June 19th, but because of COVID and everything, it got released on December 25th, which was Christmas. So I got a chance to watch it. I'm going to be doing this video in two parts. The first part is going to be a non-spoiler part, and the second part is going to be a spoiler-filled part where I tell you maybe some issues that I had with it, what I really liked about the movie, and then the end, I will tell you what I rated it out of 5 stars, and then whether or not I recommend you should watch the movie or not. So if you just want to see the non-spoiler part, and then just go to the end to the part that's going to have the 5 stars and whether or not I recommend it, then you can skip to this part right here once I get done with this non-spoiler part. So I'm just going to get right into it and talk to you guys about what I liked about this movie and what problems I had with it. And yeah, let's just get right into it. Okay, so I'm just going to start off by telling you the plot of the movie, which all of this was released in the trailer, so it's not like I'm really spoiling anything for you. So the plot of this is that there's a middle school band teacher named Joe Gardner. I'll put a picture of him somewhere up here. And is it focusing? There we go. Yeah, his name's Joe Gardner. And he just got the best gig of his life at a jazz studio in New York City. And as he finds out, he's walking on the street and he falls through a manhole in the middle of the street and basically dies. He gets taken to the soul world and is trying to tell everybody he's not done yet. Like, he just had the best moment of his life and all of a sudden it's ripped out of his hands. So the entire movie is basically just him trying to get back to his body. Because he wants to perform at the gig and everything, which was something that he's always wanted to do. And I really enjoyed this movie. I'm going to go ahead and say that. I really enjoyed this movie. It's probably going to be one of the top 5 for a Pixar movie for me now. Many people said that they were worried, like in the trailer and stuff, that this was going to be too much like Inside Out or like a kid's movie. When really it was not. There was obviously some aspects for kids if you have kids watching it, but many of the things in the movie were very adult and dealt with like adults would be talking. Like the message of the movie is something that I think, in my opinion, would be kind of hard for kids to grasp if they're just watching the movie for like funny aspects or something. The aspect and the message of the story is very good, but I feel like it's something that little kids would have a problem grasping, which is what many adults said that their concern was, that this movie was not going to be anything for adults, it was all going to be kids, when really it was not. Many people said that they thought that it was going to be like he is in the real world, then all of a sudden he gets turned into a blue person and like that's it for the rest of the movie. That was not the case. So if that was your main concern before watching this movie, if you haven't yet, that is not the case. There's actually maybe even more of the real world than there is the soul world, which kind of leaves you wanting to see a little bit more of the soul world, or not like wanting to see more, just like what's more capable there, because they only talk about certain areas of it and stuff. But you'll understand what I'm talking about if you were to watch the movie. But yeah, everybody was worried about it being a sort of only blue people sort of thing, like Inside Out, but it was not. It was very evened out between the soul world and the human world. So if that was your concern, you can go ahead and drop that. That is not the case in this movie. Okay, so another aspect of the movie which I think many people were concerned about, including myself, is in the trailer they show this scene.
So what do you want to be remembered for?
Probably for doing this funny cowboy dance.
Great.
I'm very glad to say that that part was not in the movie. I don't know if they cut it from the movie or if it was just a trailer bit, but when I saw it, I was like, oh my gosh, what is this? This looks like nothing in that scene was funny to me. Sorry, there's a FedEx truck out there, I got distracted. But nothing of that scene was funny to me, and when I saw it in the trailer, I'm like, oh, this is just gonna be a movie completely centered for kids. It's not gonna be anything adult, which that part was not in the movie. So I'm very glad that it wasn't. Okay, so another thing that I really thought about a lot in the movie, which I can't really tell you much about because it's the non-spoiler part still, The climax of the movie is not as strong, I would say, as I would have wanted it to be. I don't really know what I thought the climax was going to be, but it wasn't this. Yeah, that's kind of all I can say. I know it's very like, okay, well, what's the climax? But you should watch the movie and you'll know what I'm talking about. It was still pretty good, but the climax was not as like strong as I thought it should have been. I really want to talk to you guys about this sort of thing, but I will maybe in the spoiler part. What am I saying? In the spoiler part, maybe I will talk to you more about it. Okay, so this is the last thing I'm gonna mention before I get into the spoiler review part. My favorite thing I think about this movie is the music. It's centered around jazz, but there's also many pieces in there that are not completely jazz, but just like as it's happening in the movie, it just feels really right. I'm not normally into this kind of music at all. In fact, I will link my favorite piece from the movie down below in the description. It's a piece called Flashback, like a flashback, basically. That's literally all it is. But in the movie, at that scene, it's just, I will talk about it more in the spoiler part. But the music in this movie is astounding. It's pretty obvious that it's going to be astounding if it was created by the people who made Up, they made Inside Out, and they made Coco. And there's Colby. And those people who made those movies really made a strong soundtrack for all three of them, especially Up, because in the beginning, the married life theme, it is very sad because you know what's happening in that scene. Hey buddy, what are you... He was laying down until I started the video, and then all of a sudden he's up and moving. Okay, so now I'm going to get into the spoiler part of the review. So if you haven't seen the movie, I recommend you go watch that, then come back to this. Or if you have seen it and you just want to watch it anyways, yeah. So I'm just going to go ahead and talk about my favorite parts of the movie and things that I think they did well, and things that I think they could have improved on. So let's go ahead. Okay, the first thing I want to say is that we're led to believe that the main character dies. In the trailer, you see that he falls down the manhole and he wakes up in the hospital bed, or like, no, not wakes up. He sees himself in the hospital bed and is like, I'm still alive, but like, we're led to believe that he eventually dies, which is not completely false, but also is because of the end. I want to mention this. This was something that Pixar, I think, this was a very tough topic to talk about, I think, in this sort of like manner, because if you have an audience that's mainly kids, which I guess some adults watch it too, but if you have an audience that's mainly kids and your message is to enjoy every single minute of your life, no matter what, that's kind of a hard thing to get across for kids. But I think Pixar did it wonderfully. So props to you, Pixar. You did a great job trying to express your message here with this movie. Once again, I said that it might not be something that your kids might find that interesting, but I think I understood it perfectly fine. The message, it was great. If you have a sort of older kid, they probably will understand it and will like the movie as well. But yeah, so this was it was a great movie. I recommend watching it. I'm not supposed to say that till the end whether or not I recommend watching it, but I really think you should if you haven't. If you're watching the spoiler part, hopefully you have watched it and you enjoyed it. So yeah, I think that was a very difficult topic for Pixar to for Pixar to mention. So good job. Okay, before I talk about my issue with the movie, I want to talk about my favorite part of the entire film, which was near the end. It is when Joe Gardner is in his apartment at nighttime by himself, and he's reading sheet music, and all of a sudden he looks over and sees all the things that 22 has collected and puts it on his piano thing and looks at it and pretty much makes music by just looking at the things that she has collected, just objects. And he's playing the piano, and we zoom out of the apartment and it shows New York City, then it shows like the country, then it shows the world, and then it shows the galaxy. When I saw that part in the movie, all I did was smile. That's all I could help but do. It was so amazing. It's even better the fact that there's no talking whatsoever in it. It's like a 30-second scene, and maybe even longer. And there's no talking in it, and it was great. Just beautiful piano music, and that was my favorite part of the movie. I really adored it. So whoever thought of that needs a raise at Pixar. That was awesome. Okay, now sadly it's time to talk about the things that I had a problem with, which there's not many, but it's mainly just the ending. So I want to mention at the very end, Joe is on the pathway to go to the great beyond, and then Jerry, one of the many Jerrys, if you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. One of the many Jerrys comes over and says, hey, you've inspired us, like we're going to give you a second chance. You can go back to Earth. And he looks at the great beyond, then looks at Earth, and he's like, okay, I'll go back to Earth. And he's like, I'm going to enjoy every minute of it, which is the message of the movie. But I don't think that, this sounds mean, but I really think he should have just accepted that he's done what he wanted to do on Earth and just went to the great beyond. Because he gets his gig, he gets to play at it, and then he gets sent back to the soul world, and all of a sudden, he's like ready to go into the great beyond. But then they say, hey, you've got another option. And he's like, oh, okay, I'll go. I'm like, dude, no, you just had the moment of your life, and it really didn't make you feel much different. Because I feel like that was another part that they really expressed good, was him after the gig. He expected to feel all this joy and excitement and be like, yes, that was great. But he said he just felt the same. And I feel like that's the case in a lot of things that you might look forward to. So I thought that maybe it should have been better if he would have said, no, I'll just let 22 live her life, which I also want to mention. Where's 22? Like, where 22 went to Earth, I really wish we could have seen some form of her life on Earth, but we don't. The last time we see her is when she's flying through the Earth portal and Joe leaves her, and that's it. We don't get to see what she looks like, what she's doing, anything, which I guess is okay if you want to act mysterious, but I really wish that they would have showed some form of what she's doing, but they didn't. So I don't know if they're setting up for a sequel, if there's a sequel to the movie. I don't think that this is the kind of movie that they would want to be a sequel, if there was one. I think we ended on a high note. But yeah, so I don't know. I just wish we could have seen some of 22's life, and Joe would have went into the great beyond. Kind of similar to, if you've seen the TV show The Good Place, which this is also going to be a spoiler for that, then you know at the end, all the characters, they have done everything that they wanted to do, and then they walk through a door, and literally their soul is returned to the universe, and that's it. Because they've done everything they wanted to do. And it's not a scary thing. It's a very satisfying ending. And I feel like that would have been the way to go for this movie, is for Joe to have accepted that he's done everything that he's wanted to do and to just let 22 live. So I know you might be like, well, that's kind of dark for Pixar to do. That's probably why they didn't do it. But I don't know. I just wish that part would have been in the movie. Okay, so that's going to be pretty much it for the spoiler part and the non-spoiler part. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, and now I'm going to tell you what I rated it out of 5. I'm going to give it 4 stars out of 5. If you saw my previous part, you know if those things would have been solved, then I feel like it probably would have deserved a 5-star review. But I will give it 4 out of 5. So if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. I highly recommend this movie. If you haven't seen it yet, go watch it on Disney+. It's a Disney Plus exclusive, so sadly, if you're wanting to watch it in theaters, you can only watch it on Disney Plus. That kind of bothers me a little bit for some people, if they really looking forward to watching something and then all of a sudden they're like, oh, no, we're releasing on Disney Plus. Kind of like how they did with Mulan. But this one, you don't have to pay for to watch. Unlike Mulan, who you had to pay like $30 to watch, but now it's on there for free. But this one, you don't have to pay at all. You can just go watch it on Disney Plus. So I recommend watching it for everybody. So if you haven't seen it, go watch it. It's a great film. But like I said, if you enjoy this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you already have not. And hit that bell. I will be uploading as much as I can. And I'll see you guys next time. Hope you enjoyed this review. Bye.